Welcome to Clued in Mystery. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Brooke, and we both love mystery.
Hi, Brooke.
Hi, Sarah. It's award season in the mystery world.
It sure is. And there are so many awards that celebrate mystery and crime writing. Some have very specific criteria, and others are open to a broader submission list. So let's slide into our glamorous attire and talk about some of those awards.
Oh, that sounds fun. I haven't had a reason to wear a fancy dress in a long time, Sarah.
Well, I think I might put on some. I don't have a lot of fancy jewelry, but I'll put on some nice earrings.
Sounds great.
So when I look at the different types of awards, there's awards that are presented and selected at conferences. There's awards that are selected by various writers associations. And then there's also awards that are selected or presented by different publications that celebrate the mystery genre. And so I thought we could talk a little bit about each of those different categories. So, starting with the conference awards, there's a few that I wanted to mention. You may be familiar with the Agatha Awards, which celebrate traditional mystery books that are published in the United States. And those are presented by Malice Domestic, which is a conference that takes place annually in Maryland, which is just outside of Washington, D.C. And as I mentioned, these awards celebrate what we would consider to be traditional mystery books. So nothing too thrilling, nothing too gory, just good old mystery. Another conference award, the Anthony Awards, are presented at Bouchercon, and Bouchercon is a conference that moves around. This year in 2025, it's going to be in New Orleans, and that's in September. And it looks like the conference kind of, as it moves around the continent, it also moves. Sometimes it's in August, September. It'll be in October in 2026. And these awards are presented, the Anthony Awards are presented at the conference, and the winners are selected by the attendees at the conference. And it's a similar setup for the Lefty Awards, which are presented at Left Coast Crime, which is another conference that moves around each year and is typically on the western half of North America. I know it's happened here in Canada, it's happened in the States. I think this year it's in Denver. And so that, as I mentioned, is selected by attendees at the conference. And then finally, the Silver Falchion Award is presented at Killer Nashville, which is another conference. This one is held in August, as the name implies, always in Nashville. And this award is selected by a panel of jurors, so not selected by the conference attendees.
I just want to say that I'm really glad that you're breaking these down like this because I think as a reader for years, I've heard these names, but I don't necessarily know, you know, which organization gives which prize and what they're for and everything. So I'm really enjoying this. This is a topic I really haven't known that much about. I especially like the idea of the conference attendees being the ones to choose the winner because I feel like it feels like a jury of your peers, right?
Yeah, I like that idea too. That, and I don't know how it works. If in advance of going to the conference, you're kind of told who the different shortlisted titles are, and you then have an opportunity to read them, or I don't know what that judging process is, but I do like that idea that you go to the event and make the selection there. So the next set of awards that I'll talk about are the Readers Association or like the Mystery Publication Awards, and there are several, but I'll just highlight a few. So the McCavity Awards are awarded by Mystery Readers International members, and Mystery Readers International is the largest mystery fan organization in the world, and they have a publication that I think is issued quarterly. The Barry Awards are selected by members of Deadly Pleasures, which is an online publication that celebrates the mystery genre. And then Crime Fiction Lover Awards are selected by readers of Crime Fiction Lover. It's a online selection process, but there's also selections that are made by editors of the publication. So for each of the categories, they have the reader choice and the editor choice versions. And then one of our favorite publications, Crime Reads, has best of lists that they publish. So it's not a formal awards program, but I thought it was worth mentioning because that's another source for readers to, find what are some of the best books of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, the Writers Association Awards. And some of these are the big awards that almost everybody would be familiar with, like the Daggers, the Edgar Awards. So the Australian Crime Writers Association, their awards are called the Ned Kelly Awards. And so Ned Kelly was an Australian outlaw, and they have a selection of awards under that name. The International Thriller Writers have the Thriller Awards that actually, I believe, are announced at ThillerFest, the conference that's associated with that. So it's kind of a hybrid of what I was mentioning before, the conference awards and Writers Association awards. And Private Eye Writers of America, this was a new organization for me I hadn't come across before, but they celebrate private eye sleuths or private detective sleuths. So, someone who's not employed by a government police agency. And they have the Shamus Awards. Then we have the Crime Writers of Canada, who celebrate Canadian crime writing. So, almost all of the award categories are for people who either are Canadian or reside in Canada. And I just want to mention a couple of things about these awards. So they are now called the Crime Writing Awards of Excellence, but until relatively recently, they were called the Arthur Ellis Awards. And Arthur Ellis was the name that was given to the person who had the role of hangman in Canada. But because of the associations with hanging, the decision was to change the name to the Awards of Excellence. The other thing I wanted to mention about these awards is several of the books and authors that we've spoken about have been recognized by the Crime Writers of Canada. So, the most recent What Would You Do book that we have discussed, Please Join Us, was nominated for the Best Crime Novel in 2023. And The Drowning Woman, which was one of our What Would You Do books in an earlier season, was nominated for the same award, the Best Crime Novel in 2024. Vicky Delaney has won several awards, and she was one of our first guests on Clued in Mystery. And in 2024, she was actually nominated for 2 books in the Best Traditional Mystery category. And Daniel Calla, who was one of our guests last year, was nominated for one of his books. And I don't have it in front of me right now, but that was in 2022. So just a little shout out to our authors and books that we've talked about. The Crime Writers Association recognizes British authors and presents the Dagger Awards annually. And the Mystery Writers of America presents the Edgar Awards. And the Crime Writers of Canada, Crime Writers Association, and Mystery Writers of America also recognize people who've made significant contributions to the crime genre and present them with Grandmaster Awards. And I think for all 3 of the organizations, that's what the title is the Grandmaster. And that is how, Brooke, you and I have been selecting our modern greats to profile
Mm-hmm.
that series of episodes. And there are so many amazing authors for us to choose from. I mean, we could just do seasons and seasons of episodes if we were just going to go through those lists. Um, and I think maybe that's worth mentioning that we do turn to the awards lists to select some of the topics for our episodes.
Yes, absolutely. And definitely, as you mentioned, the authors. But I will say that uh, by and large, I don't necessarily look at awards lists to choose books that I read. What about you? How do you feel about choosing titles to read just, for pleasure?
Yeah, I think I agree. I always look to see who's been recognized, but it's not necessarily where I go, when I'm saying, okay, what for some reason I don't have any other books on my TBR list. Where am I going to find my next read? It I don't turn to the awards lists, but that said, there are some fantastic titles that are recognized.
Right. And you know that these books have been vetted by other very, serious mystery fans. So I think that typically it's going to be a great place. Any of these, whether it's a conference award or, a writer award, whatever, they're probably going to be really great picks.
And I should give some credit to the website Stop You're Killing Me for some of the information that I just shared about these awards. That website, Stop You're Killing Me, is a great index of mysteries. If you're looking for a specific type of mystery, say set in a specific location, or you wanted to read, a mystery featuring a coffee shop, they've itemized several mysteries that way. So if you weren't going to be looking at an awards list for your next read, then that website is a great source.
I was looking into, what it does for an author's career if they were to win one of these awards. And certainly there's different, if you become a grand master, you've already have quite a career, right? But let's just say one of the conference awards, and the agreement was mostly that yes, it really might punch up the sales of that book, but more than anything, it's sort of publicity and like almost brand recognition, and mostly helps for like future contracts in traditional publishing. Maybe kind of gets your traction for future book sales, but overall might not do a lot. It's just one thing in building a career. It's not that somebody wins one of these awards and is suddenly boosted into, fame and fortune.
When I look at authors who say haven't been recognized at awards, there are several who I think have written fabulous books, and for whatever reason, either they haven't been submitted as potential contenders for the awards, or the you know selection committee just hasn't agreed with me in terms of how fabulous I think the books are. So people can have a very successful career without ever being recognized by these awards.
Oh yeah, that's a great point, Sarah. For some of the larger awards, you mentioned that at the conferences, sometimes the attendees are the judges. You and I have been invited. We've done some reading for. It was a conference award, and that was really fun. But I looked at what it takes to be a judge for some of the more prestigious readers awards or writers awards, and it was interesting that a lot of them don't have an actual application. You are chosen for your expertise in the mystery fiction field. This was specifically about the Edgars, I should say. And I guess it begs the question of: is there some hand picking? Is there a little bit of a click? it's just interesting to think about that there are probably some controversies behind some of these awards as well, as we see in the Oscars, the Emmys,
Mhm.
the music
Yeah,
awards. I don't think that mystery fiction awards are probably immune from that.
I agree. I'm sure there's controversy that we never hear about. Yeah, they're probably not immune to that. Same thing that we see with, because the Academy Awards are much higher profile, we hear about that.
Hmm. Yes. So I found it interesting that you can win a Dagger or a Ned Kelly award with a self-published book, but the Edgars still only consider traditionally published books. And I wonder if there'll ever be a time that changes, or if kind of that stigma against self-published books will remain for a while longer.
I imagine that it will eventually shift for the Edgars as well. I think some of the other awards programs have recently made that change. I read recently of some traditionally published authors whose contracts had been canceled. And if I was one of them, I would be looking at just doing it myself and publishing independently. Um, I think they will probably do quite well because they already have a following and a readership.
Hmm. Yeah, the industry has changed so much over the past 5 to 10 years. And that is the case with having some of the authors who have previously been traditionally published entering into independent publishing. That's going to change the landscape even more.
Agreed.
Well, Sarah, thank you so much for sharing this. As I said at the top, this is a topic that I have not known a lot about. And so it really is helpful to kind of categorize the awards this way and learn more about them.
Well, this has been lots of fun to learn about. I also didn't know much about this until I started researching for today's episode.
And listeners, we hope that you gained a little bit more knowledge about the mystery space today as well. And, let us know, are awards something that you look at when you're choosing your next read? We'd love to know. But for today, thank you for listening to Clued in Mystery. I'm Brooke.
And I'm Sarah, and we both love mystery. Clued in Mystery is written and produced by Brooke Peterson and Sarah M. Stephen. Music is by Shane Ivers. If you liked what you heard, please consider telling a friend, leaving a review, or subscribing with your favorite podcast listening app. Visit our website at cluedinmystery.com to sign up for our newsletter, The Clued In Chronicle, or to join our paid membership, The Clued In Cartel. We're on social media at Clued In Mystery.